It's Sunday evening, top knot, no makeup, but I wanted to come and show you guys one of my favorite recipes with some of my all-time favorite Pampered Chef products that I use all of the time. So we're gonna get started tonight. I'm making a family style burrito bake, similar to a Mexican style lasagna, using our deep covered baker and our micro cooker with some other tools that I'll explain in a little bit. So let's get started. You don't actually need the deep covered baker yet, so I'm just going to move it over here to this side just to kind of give us some more workspace. The first thing I'm actually going to need is the micro cooker. Now this is the large size that was just redesigned for the September new fall launch products fall products that are going to be launched, but the idea is very similar. You have the drain holes on the top and you're going to see those in action a little bit. So I'm going to start with a pound of ground beef, your choice of kind or style or brand, whatever you'd like. Take one of my little mixing scrapers here and just push that over into the micro cooker. I like to put the meat down first so that when I put the seasonings or anything else in with the ground beef, they kind of go onto the top of it and really soak in as it's cooking. The next thing here, I have half of a large white of onion, I almost said oven, onion, and I'm just gonna make that a little bit smaller in order to chop here with my food chopper. That way I can get a little bit more of a uniform cut and I'm not chopping forever. So the fun part is, if you've had a rough day and it's not a Sunday evening, you just put your food product on your cutting mat, under the blades of the food chopper, and bang away. Loud noise warning. I lift it up to see about how much I like, and it just has to be a coarse chop for this dish because we do want some of the onion pieces for good flavor. So I'll continue to do this and then place the onion into the micro cooker. One thing I love about the food chopper is, although it kind of works to get out the aggression of maybe a rough day, but it's also something that your kids can help you with in the kitchen too, because they're not touching the blade, so they're not using a knife. The blades are concealed in the plastic piece and in this outer plastic ring as well. So unless they start to take the food chopper apart, they're not using anything that's going to cut or damage their hands or their skin. So I'll just set this aside and then put this onion into the micro cooker. I'm using one of the older style knives as our forged cutlery collection. Again, Pampered Chef has redesigned the knife a little bit, but only in kind of the look of the design of the handle, and it is still our 5-inch utility knife. It's a good try me knife. I use it for everything from raw chicken to fruit to citrus I'm cutting up for beverages or whatever else. But as you can see, it was used to slice the onion into bigger chunks tonight. So just get that ready, and I won't probably use this again since my scraper just touched ground beef, but I actually won't need it again, so I'll clean up in just a second. The next thing I'm going to take is the Southwestern Seasoning Mix, all-time favorite right here. We use it for chicken if we're just having roasted chicken or a quick thing in the microwave. Another thing I love to use my micro cooker for is just a couple of chicken breasts. Takes about 6 minutes in the microwave. Sprinkle some of this on top. It's absolutely delicious. I'll also use it for fajitas, anything Mexican dish inspired. This is my go-to spice. It's awesome. I'm going to use our little mini Easy Read measuring cup here. Take off the lid so instead of shaking I can pour it in. I love that with the measuring cup here I can see the markings as I'm going, and I get about 2 tablespoons to start with. I need a little bit more to get to that 2 line. Pretty good. And let's toss it in with our onion and beef. Now I'll kind of just spread that around a little bit. And again, this is not the final cooking stage for this beef, so I will be able to blend it in a little bit. I'll take this micro cooker over to the microwave. You slide on the lid, and then these little teeth lock in place. And we're gonna cook it for about 2 to 3 minutes. Use our mix and chop, and then in the middle, and then cook it for 2 to 3 minutes more, and it should be done. Okay, while the hamburger beef mixture, you'll hear me refer to it more as a beef mixture, is cooking in the microwave, I go ahead and start saving time kind of in the recipe process by getting ready to layer the ingredients in my deep covered baker. Now something that's really cool is that you can actually cook your ground beef in the deep covered baker. You'll see that it actually does go in the microwave. Any of our stoneware pieces go in the microwave and oven, but they do not go under a broiler. So there's some different things to get to learn about our stoneware. I have the cranberry deep covered baker, and since then they've launched a new color of kind of a charcoal gray color that's very, very pretty. But with 2 bakers already in my kitchen, I just kept it. But I do like the charcoal because it's also a little bit lighter weight too. So one thing I'm getting ready to do is kind of preparing the other ingredients to be layered for our burrito bake. This is our smooth edged can opener. Again, something that the kids can also help you with in the kitchen. They can use this right-handed or left-handed, either way, because it goes on the top of the can. Also, when they take it off, it is a smooth edge, so this lid and the can is not going to cut their fingers. So again, something that gets kids excited to cook with. Another ingredient that I add to the beef mixture a lot of times is a small can of Mexicorn, or just any kind of whole kernel corn that's already cooked. You can do your own fresh or even from frozen. It just takes another couple of steps to get it prepared for this dish. We want things to mostly be cooked because we are just layering this. Now I take these refried beans out of the can, and the reason they don't go straight into the deep covered baker like this is you can probably see they're a little bit stiff when they're just by themselves. So I'm actually going to take that same little easy read measuring cup and add about 3 tablespoons of water to the beef mixture so I can get them a little more spreadable. Before I do that though, I did want to briefly explain another thing with adding that corn into the dish. This is our can strainer from Pampered Chef, and you would just place it over your can of corn and be able to drain that out in the sink. Again, another thing that the kiddos can help you do, and it's just an easy step to get that into the batter bowl. So I'm going to check on my mixture in the microwave. Okay, sorry, the last little bit of my video cut off and the microwave beeped kind of at the same time. So all I was going to say is I'm going to check on my beef mixture in the microwave and get this can rinsed and recycled, and then we'll talk about layering up and getting the beans ready to be layered into our deep covered baker. Be right back. Okay, so I'm getting the beef mixture out of our microwave for just a minute to break it up. It's about halfway through its cooking time. I take it over to the counter where we were, and I have our little silicone hot pad here. I believe now we have these still available for purchase, but they're bright red like these micro grips and our pot holders rather than the cranberry color. So I take one of my best sellers, favorite products, so much so that I think I have 3 of them, the mix and chop. And you can see it's kind of got this weird shape to it, and people look at it and go, what does that do? But I swear, once you try this with any kind of ground meat at all, you'll never use a wooden spoon or a spatula again. You push it down into the meat, in this case ground beef, and you just kind of do a gentle twist. It mixes in the seasoning and the onion at the same time as breaking apart the hamburger. And as I said, this is only about halfway through its cooking process, so I'm still going to put it in the microwave for an additional 3 minutes, and that should get it to go. Good to go. You just continue this process of pressing, twisting, and lifting it up just till you have the meat at your consistency that you like. And then as it cooks, sometimes the meat kind of, you know, clings back together a little bit, and I'll just use whatever scraper I'm using to make sure that we're all blended. And I'll show you that in just a little bit. Okay, the next thing that I'm going to do is to start putting my burrito bake together. I have some whole wheat, small fajita-sized tortillas here. You can get whatever kind that you like, but this size works to fit pretty well on the bottom of the baker. You do want them to crisscross a little bit. Again, we're making a layered dish. So one thing that the recipe recommends that we do is have 7 total tortillas. 6 you'll use for layering, and the 7th one I usually fold to make the pieces a little smaller to fill in any gaps in the tortilla layers in the baker. I usually tear it about into 8ths, just depending on the size. They're not all the exact same. So I'll just put the pieces over here in the gaps of this pear down here. And then I'll set those pieces to the side, and I'll start layering my beans. Now, again, I added that 3 tablespoons of water in the beans just to make them a little more spreadable. Each layer uses about 1/3 of your whole portion of your refried beans. Again, your choice of brand, flavor, does not matter. If you're counting calories, you can do the lower fat or no fat. Some people like the flavoring that comes in different products, and it's just truly your choice. So you want to spread all those around. So our first 2 layers are the tortillas and the beans, and then next we'll have to get our beef mixture going. So in the microwave that's still finishing up, I've got my classic batter bowl here, and in with the beef mixture from the microwave in just a moment, you put 1 cup of your kind of salsa. I have some Tostitos salsa left here, so I'm just going to use this up for this recipe. This would also be where you would put that, there's the microwave. This is also where you would put that Mexicorn or your kind of corn. If you wanted to add some extra fresh peppers or make it spicy and add a jalapeno, that's fine. You just get a jar of chunky salsa. Again, your flavor, your level of spiciness that you like. Salsa, corn, and the beef mixture, and we're good to go. So let's get that out of the microwave one more time and put it with our salsa. Okay, so one of my favorite features of the micro cooker I mentioned before was that it has 2 sizes of steam holes on the top. Great for steaming your vegetables, cooking a quick baked potato in the microwave, heating up soup, heating up leftovers, whatever you want to do. Tonight, they're actually going to act as my drain holes for this ground beef mixture. Now, some of the liquid that's draining is the juice from the onions. Some of it's water that might be in the meat. You can also use a ground turkey if you're not into ground beef, and that is fine. I'm draining it into one of our larger 3-cup prep bowls just to get that off of my meat. And then, as you can see, sometimes I drain this into the sink and sometimes into the trash can with some paper towels. But so usually I'm not dirtying another bowl, which I really like. So far we've only gotten about 4 of our larger dishes dirty. So I flip that back over. I'm ready to get this out of my way. And I'll just take and toss the lid in the sink a second. Okay, you can see that mostly it's still broken apart. So we're gonna need a mix-in scraper. This is our classic size. I think they actually call it the small size. And for me, this is like normal size. So I thought, well, what's small? But when you compare it to our classic large mix-in scraper, you see the difference in size here. So I thought, okay, this is more for your pro bakers. That is not me. I love to bake, but I'm not a pro. So I go to this size here, and it's great for the size containers that we're working with. And again, since I'm going to be stirring with this, I just break it up a little bit inside this bowl just to make sure that I've got everything cooked well. and I put it into the bowl with the salsa. Now again, tonight we're skipping out on the corn, and that is okay, but you can add any of your other favorite flavors in if you wish. Any other vegetables, anything that you think would pair well with this type of bake casserole. So I mix in with the salsa. Just make sure that everything is coated well. And again, the salsa kind of acts as your tomatoes, your peppers, a little bit of adding some extra flavor in there. Also kind of bonds the tortillas and beans mixture to the ground beef, and then kind of gets it ready for the cheese to go on top, and we'll show you that in just a second. Okay, I think we're all good there. I am going to add 1/3 of the beef mixture to the top of my beans layer, which is of course on top of the tortillas. So add about 1/3 of that. Don't worry if you add more or less. Doesn't hurt anything. It's all going in the same dish. Another thing I love is a one-pot meal. You can use this baker for everything I've done in the microwave tonight. I just prefer to get my baker ready while my beef is cooking in something else. Then on top of the beef mixture, you do about 1/3 of your cheese. I like to use the Mexican style blend. You can use Colby Jack. You can just use regular cheddar. You could even do a Velveeta or American cheese slice if your kids aren't into trying any kind of new cheese flavors. All right, so we've got those first 3 layers. We're back to our tortillas. 2 more tortillas on the top of that. Again, lay them however they best fit. I have my extra pieces in here to go underneath to fill in the gaps. We set those aside. We're ready to do our beans again. Repeat this process 1 more time. So we've got tortillas, beans, beef, just be gentle when you're spreading, because as you can see, it's not glued down yet, so things kind of start to move around on me, but it's gonna taste good no matter how it sits in here. Oh, this is so yummy. I cannot wait. And again, even with all this filming, I started this recipe about 23 minutes ago. And so if I weren't filming, I think I could take this part down to about 10 to 15. And then it bakes for about 10 to 15 more in the microwave. You let it set and you're good to go. So beans and beef again. So this is our second round of layers, second round of all of the ingredients. Spreading it around. Now cheese, the second round of cheese does go on the top of this. But you really only repeat these layers 1 time. So that's 2 times total. The last time you're going to do just the tortillas, the beans, and the beef. And the reason for that is when it goes into the microwave, it's going to cook these layers together, make sure all of the cheese is melted and things like that. When it comes out, you're going to let it set for about 10 minutes, not only to set up and be able to hold and be able to be cut and served, but also because it's going to need definite cooling time. We are going to microwave it with the lid on, so you'll see that it's very warm when we pull it out. I know that you can't really feel it through a video screen, but you may be able to see the steam. We'll see. Again, no professional videoing here. We're just trying to get it out there and share one of our favorites. So yeah, everything will set up in the end, but it cooks without that final layer of cheese on it. So last thing here before it goes in the microwave is beans and beef. Pardon my banging. I like to get it all, but you can also see that my bowl, my bowl's pretty clean, and this was one of our old fall, just classic scrapers. You can see it's flat. It doesn't have as many rounded dips like the mix-in scraper did, but it's great for scraping and spreading. That's what it's made to do. So that's the reason for the orange color. We don't always have orange, but yeah, I like to clean the bowl. So beans and beef, and it's going in. When I was little, my brother and I would always argue over who got to lick the bowl when we were making cookies or brownies and that was left over in the bottom, or even frosting. But I said, well, the thing is, I absolutely love our scrapers, but if you like to lick the bottom of the bowl, you can see, we'll put over the counter here, you can see that there's not any left. So if you like the bottom of the bowl, don't buy one of our mix-in scrapers. But if you're trying to save that argument with your own kids, you definitely need our mix-in scrapers. Okay, so the lid goes on, and I'm taking it to the microwave for about 12 minutes. Okay, these are one of my favorite products. I know I look like the dancing people in the back of my best friend's wedding with the lobster claw mitts. Absolutely love these. My favorite color is red, but they're silicone oven mitts. And so I use them for the oven, I use them for the microwave, I use them with a hot coffee pot, whatever you've got. But with them being silicone, I just keep them on if anything gets on them. And I wash with my hands with soap and water, and I set them over in my dish rack to dry. Love my silicone mitts. But I'm going to use my little lobster mitts over here to get our big deep cover baker out of the microwave. Follow me. And this is when I usually leave the microwave door open, because this casserole, or this burrito bake, is kind of heavy. So I'm going to put it back on my silicone pad here on the stove, just so it has a little grip. Take off our lid. Can you see the steam? Did we get it? Did we get any kind of steam? Professional video. We'll work on that. I figure out how they film steam. So I take off my lobster claws. I save a little bit of that jar of salsa, whatever is left over after you measure out a cup. But since that was an already open jar, I got some of my favorite salsa from my mom today, and I'm going to top the rest of this burrito bake with that salsa. Again, it's a mild, chunky flavor, but it's homemade, so I mean, it's not, whew, man, is it just going to add a little bit of really fresh, yummy flavor. So I layer this around here. Now I see that I have a little bit larger sliver of an onion here. It wouldn't bother me to eat that, but some of your kiddos may not like that. So I just would put that over to this side on my little salsa lid here, just to get that out of the way. Again, tap off, rest my mix-in scraper. And you're gonna put the last 1/3 of your cheese. Try to sprinkle it evenly. Sometimes the cheese or the bag can be stubborn. That's not to your liking or not enough. Again, you can also grab a different kind or another amount. I just kind of spread it around a little bit. And then you put the lid back on your baker. Again, the stoneware is warm, so you want to use your mitt or some kind. Put the lid back on the baker, and I usually let it sit for about 10 minutes to let everything set together and also kind of cool down a little bit, just a little, because the stoneware does retain the heat. We'll take the lid off and we'll put it with some plates. We're going to serve it with a nice side salad tonight. Maybe some Tostito chips and salsa on the side, or you can make your homemade guacamole, whatever you love to do with the side of your Mexican dishes. This is it. It's going to be really, really awesome. I can't wait to eat it. Thanks for watching, guys. See you later.